What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to another episode of the MMAnomaly podcast. I am your host, Olin, aka MMAnomaly. And of course, welcome back, Crude Analysis, or one half of Crude Analysis, Tien.
Glad to be here. Glad to hear. Thank you, brother. Thank you for getting us back on here, man. a lot of great things to talk about, man. I think this past week was a barn burner of amazing content, man. And I'm excited to come back. Hey, welcome back MMA this year, right?
Welcome
First
back MMA this year, dude. First fight of the year, getting things started off with a bang. Solid card to get things going.
I'll be mad. I'm sorry,
brother.
I'll be mad if Uncle Dana doesn't give us enough more content for the rest of the year here. Yeah.
Oh, bro, we'll be getting plenty of content. You know what, though? We're going to blacklist Dana. We're not going to mention him for the rest of the podcast. You know what? I'm a big fan of Native Americans, you know, part Cherokee myself, but not a fan of the Slapaho tribe. And that's the only tribe that guy's in. So no more Dana White for the rest of the podcast. No more. And, you know, before we move off the subject of Dana White, can we actually just say he missed the boat when it comes to Francis Ngannou?
Oh, my gosh.
But that's not the only breaking news we have, guys. We actually do have more breaking news. The homie Emiliano will actually be joining the stream today, joining the MMAnomaly podcast. Let's go, Emiliano. Go ahead and give yourself an intro here.
Let's go. Hard to follow that up, MMAnomaly. What's up, Crude Analysis? What's up, MMA fam? How we doing?
Let's go.
Baby. Let's go. Life's good to see Emiliano on mic here, man. This is a blessing today. It's great to see faces. Hey, it's great to see them out. Appreciate you guys.
Let's go. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and address the biggest elephant in the room before we even break down these three fights that we talked about here and what's next for these gentlemen. Francis Ngannou is now out of the UFC. He is essentially a free agent. What are your thoughts on this? Emiliano, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
My gut reaction is I'm sad. You hate to see such a talented, such a great story, a great champion in the UFC depart after years of negotiations and contract disputes and not the best start to the year. But like me and Crude were talking about before we hopped on here, there's a good consolation prize to this whole scenario. But my gut reaction is I'm going to miss Francis a lot. Excited to see what he's going to go do. Maybe go get the bag, maybe do a good big boxing match, or go sign with the PFL and Jake Paul's new league over there. We'll see, but I'm going to miss him. He's a great champion. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, sorry to follow base off there, MMA, but, you know, just like Emiliano and I were kind of talking in the background there. You know, I think it's kind of sad, you know, like it's sad when you have a fighter with such skill and at the same time such an amazing story, you know, like to have a guy it really seems like he came out of nowhere. But, you know, even with the experiences of his, you know, beginning to MMA and him losing certain fights to him kind of going to where he is now and being the devastator he is, it's sad. I mean, you know, it's rare to get that in MMA in general, but it's also rare to get that in, you know, heavyweight, to have such skill. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be sad. It's going to be sad. But like Emiliano was saying, we got a lot of greatness coming behind that. But yeah, I'm hoping we'll see more of him. I mean, if he gets to boxing, hey, man, you know, if he wants to give himself against Tyson Fury, a sacrifice, I mean,
that's all it would be. It would literally be a human sacrifice at that point. I don't want to see him fight Tyson Fury. There's no part of me that wants to see him fight Tyson Fury. If he goes the boxing route, like, go knock Jake Paul out. That'd be fun. But even Jake Paul, like the kid's footwork has improved. I mean, but the thing is, like, Jake can land 100 strikes and Francis can land one, and it's a worse night for Jake. So if he does go the boxing route, like, real talk, I think style for style, the best matchup that makes sense for him is going to be, you know, the Bomber, dude. To this day.
That would be crazy.
Deontay Wilder, right? Like, I think that would be a fun fight. That's a winnable fight for Francis Ngannou. But even then, I think if you run that fight 10 times in simulation, I think 7 out of 10 times Deontay wins that fight.
I would agree.
So I think I think the smartest move for him is to stay in mixed martial arts. rub it in the UFC's face for letting him go, and go win that $1 million at PFL. Who's going to compete with him?
I don't see
No one in the world.
Like, and realistically, like he can negotiate, like he can negotiate a contract too. Like I think Anthony Pettis was making, basically like, what was he making? Like 450,000 or something like that per fight for the PFL. So like, that's why a lot of people are like, oh, no wonder he wasn't trying that hard. He doesn't need to win the $1 million. He's getting paid $1 million to fight twice across the season anyways. Like, it's fine. So you imagine if Francis is able to negotiate like a 500 and 500 deal, like he fights twice across the season, he gets $1 million guaranteed, and then when he fights and wins that third time, he gets the $1 million for winning plus the 500K for fighting. He would essentially win $2.5 million across a 1-year time span. That'd be sick for him.
That'd be
so,
Yeah.
and again,
And it seems like that's what took him away from the UFC, right? I mean, it's all about money, contract disputes. Someone's going to back up the ring truck for him. So
it's all money. It's all money for him right now, and I don't blame him. Like I think the craziest thing about this isn't the fact that like we're losing this. Honestly, he looks like a comic book character. Like if I told you, all right, Tien Emiliano, we're gonna do an exercise here. I want you to close your eyes, okay? And I want you to picture the scariest fucking like just badass heavyweight you could imagine. Okay, just like the craziest, strongest, freakish, like athletic looking guy in the world. You probably imagined Francis Ngannou or somewhere close to that. And
100%. Yeah.
And then on top of the fact that he looks the part, right? Like I love Daniel Cormier, but he didn't look the part, right? When he was dominating heavyweight or light heavyweight. Francis 100% looks like that guy. He looks like they pulled him out of a comic book. And not to mention, he's also really fucking good. He happens to be the best heavyweight in the world right now. So this is the first time that we're going to see the best heavyweight in the world fighting outside of the UFC. And it's because of money. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. Like we're not seeing the best in the world fight in the UFC anymore for the first time. And that's huge.
That's the thing.
Let me follow that
First
up
time,
real
yeah.
quick. So I'm kind of curious on a question here. Do you guys feel like there will ever be a moment in time where contracts will be negotiated the way that I wouldn't even say boxing because there's a lot of money in boxing, obviously, but like you're saying with PFA, there's 50-50 deals. I know MMA is a huge bargaining chip. I mean, they have such UFC in general, they have such content in every single fight. I mean, there's so much money that comes in, even a regular fight night, not even a main pay-per-view fight. I mean, I feel like there's enough for them to be able to actually push at least a sizable contract. But do you feel like that would ever be something that, and I know we say we want to bring it up, but Mr. D-Man would actually do their MMA, or do you?
I don't think that he'll ever pay 50% of the wages to the UFC fighters. I just don't think he will. I mean, you heard it. You heard how he feels about that regard literally on, I think, Wednesday or Thursday when he did the media day. They asked him, like, will he step away? Will he be punished in the fact that, like, he will be forced to step away? And he said himself that if he was forced to step away, the fighters suffer. The product suffers. Dana White is so deluded that he thinks he is the fucking product, and he's not. He's not.
And he's not the boss anymore either. Yeah.
He's not the boss anymore. Fucking Mickey Mouse is the boss now.
Yeah. Sir Walt.
Oh boy, like swear, dude. Mickey's the man now. Like the House of Mouse. And realistically, they're trying to essentially section off ESPN and get them detached from the Disney name. Why do you think that is?
Yeah.
That seems a bit sudden, right? I didn't hear anything about that until recently. So I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes, and I think within the next year and a half, the big bald guy that every year looks a lot more like Kingpin from Marvel Comics is probably not going to be running the show anymore. It'll probably be Hunter Campbell, and like the other two guys, the matchmakers will stick around, Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby. They're doing a great job for the most part. There's some mismatches every now and then, but nobody's perfect.
Fair.
Yeah,
When you put weekend fights on every weekend, you might miss a couple. And I think just my 2 cents here before I let you jump in, Crude. I feel like some of the big differences with the UFC versus like a PFL, at least what Jake Paul is acknowledging and things I'm noticing, it's the pay-per-view aspect, like any other organization, it's going to be hard to compete with the pay-per-views, the numbers, things like that. I also think there's an opportunity, but this is where Walt Disney comes in, where Jake Paul mentions like allowing fighters to have their own sponsorship deals, or like them being able to be their own advertisements or getting deals. Where like in the UFC, you only can wear Venom, you can only do certain things. That is an interesting door that maybe could be opened. Maybe there'll be enough pressure and just other organizations, other competition, today's society, where it's like, hey, I'm my own brand. You know, if I'm Sugar Sean O'Malley, I'm bringing the Sugar Show. Like, I should have an opportunity to get more brand deals. But the UFC is smart. They're just going to pay these people anyways. I think they know who's worth the big money, who's not. Mm-hmm. But I think that the sponsorship's big. I think the pay-per-view aspect. But Ngannou, Jake Paul, Nate Diaz, where's he going to sign? There's big names out there that can really make some splashes. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. But hey, as long as it benefits the fighters or they can negotiate better, I'm all for it.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. I'm sorry there. I love that. I can't agree more. I mean, I think that's what makes it as exciting as it is right now to be watching any mixed martial arts. You know, I mean, as much as people may hate a guy like Jake Paul, I think what was great was he kind of brought up the idea again that you can make big bucks even just on a standard fight, and it may look like an exhibition. I mean, in the beginning it seemed like exhibition fights, right? But now it seems like he's more serious about it, and it's great because the more serious he gets, the more opportunity of serious fighters actually going in there and trying to fight as well. I mean, I think even in his last one, he had actually a pro bout, like a pro fighting bout with different types of. I mean, it wasn't him. I think it was the last one was the KSI one, but they had like a pro fighters fighting on that one as well. So I mean, you know, I think as more and more popularity kind of goes into the sport, I feel like that's slowly going to get at least fighters to understand that they should be getting paid what they deserve. I mean, it's kind of sad that, you know, you'll hear about how there's certain fighters that don't even pull in anything after their fights because they have to pay their trainers, pay medical, you know, expenses. I mean, you know, even the certain fighters that are, you know, banking on the 50 G's if they end up, you know, knocking someone out or doing, you know, an insane knockout or takedown or choke. I mean, it's crazy because even with those, that's not guaranteed, you know. There could be another fighter that has even better knockout to you, and because of that, you're not going to be getting it. So, I mean, I think right now it's a very peculiar time. It's kind of unique to me because it's almost reflecting the way the generation is kind of going as well. I mean, you know, you kind of talk about how old wealth was and how people kind of acknowledge how money was, you know, was really slow. And now the way it is now, it's like, you know, you can make money quick. And I feel like that's the reason why a guy like Francis, as great as he is, you know, and as amazing as we like to see him in the UFC, I mean, that's what's great about him. You know, he understands how much money he could really make, and you know, I think we both agree, or we all agree on that you know he deserves it as well. It is kind of a shame though, but
100%. I mean, he's literally the best heavyweight in the world. I love Stipe Miocic as much as the next guy. You know, as Joey Diaz says, fucking immigrant mentality. Love that guy. But he's been radio silent for the last like year and a half. Francis has been out of the UFC for a handful of days, and all of a sudden, Stipe's like, all right, Ohio. He's ready to fight.
I got winner. I want the chips. Like, who are you?
You know, like, I mean,
who are you, man?
He's ready to fight. All of a sudden, it's like, it's like, you know, that Homer Simpson gif where he like disappears into the bushes. The opposite of that. He's all, hello, hello there. So yeah, I could go on and on about the ridiculousness of the heavyweight division, and honestly, the light heavyweight division right underneath it too is a freaking mess too. But without further ado, we are going to go ahead and jump into what happened on Saturday and what we think should be next for the winners of the three fights that we discussed on our last episode. So the first one we're going to go through here is Sean Strickland versus Nasruddin Imavov. Good Lord. I'm just going to go ahead and just take the lead on this one. I was wrong. Okay. I mean, we didn't talk about Sean Strickland versus Nasruddin Imavov. We talked about Kelvin Gastelum versus Nasruddin Imavov. But off the air, I thought I was talking up a storm saying that I thought it was an easier match. I thought Sean Strickland, coming off of a loss just 4 weeks prior, how good of a camp could he actually have coming into this. And Nasruddin is just a knockout machine. He's a finisher. I thought for sure he was going to be able to get it done, but across the distance, he simply was not. And not only that, Sean Strickland, across 25 minutes, he looked just dominant for the most part. I mean, significant strikes landed, 182 compared to 123. Total strikes landed, 194 compared to 131, all in favor of Sean Strickland. You're looking at takedowns. Nasruddin went 0 for 1. Sean Strickland went 1 for 1, 100% takedown percentage. Let's go. I mean, the guy looked good. People call him a jab merchant, and that's fine. I've posted the meme of him standing exactly like iCarly in that one episode where she did the MMA match. I didn't watch iCarly, but I saw it floating around Twitter, and I had to retweet it.
Reference.
Sorry. He literally has the same exact stance as like that girl in that episode. It's wild. So, I mean, I think I speak for all of us when I say nobody thought Sean Strickland was going to win that fight going into it. But he did. So I'm just going to come out and say, who do I think should be next for him? I'm going to throw a curveball at you guys here. I think Paulo Costa versus Sean Strickland makes a lot of sense.
I was thinking the same thing.
That'd be insane.
I think that's a good next fight to make.
I agree.
All right.
I agree.
Who wants to go next and dive into this one?
See that. I can jump into Emiliano because I feel like you're gonna give us a great little comment.
Let's go, T.
You know, I found that. I mean, I agree with you guys both. I mean, you know, it's kind of crazy. I feel like it's weird when you see people kind of step out of their game when they're like what they're kind of used to when it kind of comes to fighting. You know, and I feel like Strickland did such a great job into fighting his fight, and Imavov kind of fell off out of it. You know, and I feel like I don't know, throughout the fight, even when I was kind of watching, it almost seemed like Imavov was kind of just allowing Strickland to really kind of get into his form. You know, as I think it was like third or fourth round, even the commentators were saying it's like, wow, he's actually starting to heat up, like Strickland was heating up. And I think it's kind of an add-on to that. I mean, you know, he did just go through a 5-round with Cannonier, like you said, about a month ago. So, you know, I feel like even though he did kind of go through a war, I mean, it's still somewhat fresh, you know, and I mean, it was nuts to me. I mean, I agree with you, MMA. I thought Imavov was gonna take it, but I do think that 10 pounds was a little bit of a bonus as well. Even though, you know, weight usually is kind of like the negative in it. I mean, I feel like Sean kind of came in there fresh and with the weight that he was comfortable with, so he didn't really have to lose any weight, and I felt like that really helped as well. You know, I feel like he kind of came in sharp. You know, I think Imavov had a couple chances. I think if he kept using his knees, I really think he could have had a chance to at least kind of get a little bit closer. But I feel like every single time they were right in the middle of the ring, I mean, I think Strickland was just piecing him up, just absolutely piecing him up. I agree with you. I mean, I think if Costa really is healthy, I would love to see that fight. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. I just find it really, really hard to kind of fight within the top 5, I guess you could say right now. You know, like Pereira. I mean, Strickland did not look like he deserved it either, even with his swinging. So, I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, I don't even know if he would be able to do anything without Adesanya. So, I think, like, I agree with you. I think Costa would probably be like the next fit, and even after Costa, I mean, we'll see where he goes from there. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it was an absolute great fight. You know, cheers to both of them. They did a great job, but yeah, Strickland pulled it out.
Absolutely. Let's hear it, Nano.
I love that. Love that analysis from the crude boy. Yeah, honestly, Sean Strickland is an MMA anomaly in himself. I think Eric posted a good little comment here, but I don't think anybody fights better in a phone booth than Sean Strickland does. This man is different. He fights like this every day in training and sparring, and man, it was interesting to see Imavov, who, like Mullen, you mentioned, you know, you thought he's probably more well-rounded, can come in and try to establish, you know, himself on the feet. But Strickland would just sit there, walk right through it, weather the storm, and was just able to keep the volume on him. And Imavov just really couldn't find his ways in and got stunned a couple times hard throughout the fight. Yeah, Strickland's an animal. He's an MMAnomaly. And yeah, honestly, I think Costa or Whitaker, that fight did just get scrapped. They both need a dance partner. And when you look at the top 5, I like Martin Vettori, but I've been seeing them train together. So I don't think that fight's, I don't know if they would be willing to do that. But Rob needs a dance partner, and so does Paulo. I think both of those fights would be fireworks. Obviously, yeah, well, Strickland is coming off a couple wins. I was going to say, I don't know if Rob's too much, but I would sign up for Paulo versus Strickland. Two solid forces in the middleweight here. Colliding would be fun to see. Imavov, still a talented fighter. I don't think his stock goes down too much in my book. Maybe seeing him fight Gastelum would maybe be a good one to run it back. Or anyone in the bottom, 12 through 15 here. Chris Curtis, maybe another good dance partner, one of Strickland's training buddies. But all around, very impressed with Strickland. And I think I agree with you, Olin. Let's see Paulo Costa at 284.
I don't disagree with some of your picks. I think Sean Strickland would be willing to fight Marvin Vettori. I think Marvin Vettori would have a harder time crossing that line with a friend than Sean Strickland. Sure. I feel like Sean Strickland would beat the fuck out of a friend if he owed him $1. Like, if there's $50K on the line, he's gonna kill a guy. He'll be like, "Yeah, I want to be the first guy to kill a person in there." He's literally said that. So yeah, he'd beat the crap out of a friend. Why not? He's like, I'll beat you up, and then I'll buy you a beer afterwards. That's just how Sean Strickland is. So I think he would. I think he'd take that fight. I think another good fight that you mentioned is just running back Nasruddin Imavov versus Kelvin Gastelum. I think that makes sense. It was scheduled for a reason. I don't think the matchmakers made a mistake with that. I think Kelvin probably would have been a better test for him, for that top 15 threshold and to see where he should go from here. So yeah, I think those are the fights to make, right? Like, let's see Paulo Costa go in there against crazy Sean Strickland. The crazy American versus the crazy Brazilian, Secret Juice versus no weightlifting and just sparring all the freaking time. And yeah, we'll run back that Nasruddin Imavov versus Kelvin the Gas Tank Gastelum fight.
I just want to see Kelvin back in there, man. He's had a bad streak of luck.
Yeah, what's funny? I was just about to ask you guys about that. I mean, I know
so many pullouts. He's had like 14 pullouts in the UFC, I believe.
Yeah, I had seen something you had posted on Twitter about that, and I was just kind of curious from that perspective from you guys. Do you guys feel like he'd be able to come back, healthy from that? I mean, did it look? I mean, it kind of did look like an infection.
Well, yeah, he definitely had staph infection on his face, yeah, and he's had staph, I think, like 5 times. I would switch gyms. I would really switch gyms. If I got staph infection 5 times, I'm changing fight teams. I don't know, dude. or maybe it's not you, it's me. I don't know. I'm switching body wash. I don't know what the hell he needs to do, but yeah, I would love to see Kelvin come back. I don't know how he looks when he comes back because it has been some time. And if you look at who his losses are to, makes sense. Like, he's fought tough opposition. If you look at who the wins are against, I mean, none of those guys are contenders or even in the UFC anymore. Like, Tim Kennedy, do your thing, defend the country, but you're not a UFC fighter anymore. And Kelvin was losing that fight until he wasn't. So there's a lot of things to look at with that. I want to see Kelvin back, because like that's one of the first seasons that me and Mary watched of The Ultimate Fighter, and we loved watching that season. Like, that was a great Chael Sonnen as a coach was absolutely incredible. One of the best quotes of all time. Maybe I'll cue it up and play it on here sometime if I don't get DCMA'd. I don't own the rights to any videos I play on here. They belong to the UFC or the House of Mouse. So yeah, we will go ahead and jump into the next fight of the 3. We had Dan 50K Ige going in against Damon Jackson. Again, I couldn't have been more wrong on this one. T, you backed me up. That was a fucking mistake because I was wrong.
I'll ride with you into war, brother. That's what it is. I'll ride with you into war.
I appreciate it, brother.
I thought the same with you, man. I did not expect that at all.
T, we'll let you lead. We'll let you lead this one, bro.
We should have. I'm not even gonna lie to you, Milan. We were talking about it before. We said it. This guy has bricks for hands, but we felt like Damon had it as well. I mean, Damon has everything all around. I mean, I feel like Damon should have did more with at least trying to push him towards the the cage a little bit, actually try to apply some pressure to see if maybe he can take him down. But, I think he it was almost like Imavov. He allowed Ige to get too comfortable, bro. He allowed him to get way too comfortable. And there was a couple of those punches, like there was this one in the second round, I think. And as soon as he did it, you could just see Damon Jackson's face all inked out. Like, it was just that one good click. And I think that was, as soon as he got that, it was like Damon knew, like, I need to do something. And I think he started getting a little bit too loose, And then he fell right into it. He fell right into that swinging. Yeah, man. Dan, if you ever listen to us, we apologize, brother. We should have known, man. 50 G's, baby. 50 G's. We should have known.
We apologize for the disrespect.
But, man, no, he's amazing. He is an absolute stud. I mean, and, even with it, I'm trying to actually look up right now. I want to actually see in terms of the rankings for him, because I feel like right now he's fought a lot within the top as well.
So you're talking about the rankings for Ige?
For featherweight, yeah. I feel like he's fought within the top. Like,
here, I got you. I'll present my screen for you right now, brother. Yeah.
I'll look that up.
So, all right. We have here. Boom. Okay, so far right here. Danny Ige is sitting at number 13. So, do you think he deserves somebody above him or below him? We'll start there.
I like B Mitchell, man.
I have that written down. It's not going to show up, but I have it written down on my little notepad, my handy dandy notepad here.
I think so out of golly, bro, out of that top 10, that's freaking nuts, man. Every one of those fighters are studs.
I mean, I'm just going to come out the gates and say I agree with you on the first thing you said. I literally have it written down on my notepad. Bryce Mitchell is the one to make, and I think if you don't give him Bryce Mitchell, you give him Chan Sung Jung, which I believe he's had a match against, if memory serves me right.
He lost to him, correct?
He lost to him, correct?
Back in
give him a rematch against the Korean Zombie. Yeah, he lost a unanimous decision. That was a 25-minute fight. Give him that fight again with 25 minutes on the clock. I think he does better this time.
I like that. Yeah, he's lost to two guys in the top 10. He also lost to Josh Emmett after losing to Chang Sung. So yeah, I mean,
that but that Emmett fight, that was a split decision, was it not? Is that the one I thought Ige won?
It looked.
Or no, it was a unanimous decision. I'll have to go back and rewatch that fight. I might be thinking of a different fight, but if I'm not mistaken, never mind. I'm thinking of Calvin Kattar. Definitely thinking of Calvin Kattar. That Calvin Kattar versus Josh Emmett fight was razor thin, but I thought Calvin Kattar won that fight. That's another story for another podcast episode.
I like Danny Ige, and it's one of those things, I guess, for me going into it, I usually don't like to look at their trailing fights, but a part of me was thinking which Ige is going to show up today. Coming off 3 losses, 2 guys in the top 10. Okay, maybe that's where, the talent's still there. Damon Jackson, again, coming off 4 wins. His last loss was to a heavy-handed Ilya Topuria. So maybe I probably should have seen that scenario playing out where, hey, another heavy-handed 50K fighter who wants to come put it on you might have just been too much for Damon Jackson. And that's really how it went. I really liked how Dan set up that finishing combo with the body shot, the right hook to the body, and then coming up top upstairs with the left hand to put old Damon Jackson to sleep. It was a good finish, good performance by Dan Ige. Love to see him getting back in the win column. And like we're all saying, I mean, hey, there's a couple guys he wants to get some fights back with, but honestly, I think Bryce Mitchell might be the best stepping stone for now. And if he can get through there, then maybe you give him someone in the top.
I completely agree. I think, honestly, Bryce Mitchell would be a really good test for him, like you said. And then if he beats Bryce Mitchell, then you give him the Chan Sung Jung rematch, dependent on where Chan Sung Jung is sitting in the rankings. I would assume by then, if he doesn't fight or if he loses again, he's going to drop below Danny Ige at that point. So then, at that point, we'll look into other people for him to fight. Maybe like a Josh Emmett rematch. That'd be a fun one too.
That'd be good.
It'd be a really fun one. Both those guys are sluggers, and never not fun to watch those two fight. So we have a new viewer. We got Bill Henricks, Mr. Bill H, and he wants to know our thoughts on Charles Johnson. So I'll lead the scope on this one here. I'm just going to come out and say it. You know, the young man said it himself. Muhammad Mokaev said, when you fight me, I change your life. I change your career. He did it. He changed his career. The guy lost a unanimous decision to one Muhammad Mokaev. He's the guy that Muhammad couldn't finish. And since then, Charles Johnson has gotten a decision win over Zhalgas Zhumagulov, as well as a dominant win over Jimmy Flick. This was Jimmy Flick's first time back in, I believe, 2 years, maybe a little over 2 years. But Jimmy did look pretty promising back when he did fight. He had that one really nice flying triangle, if you remember. Charles Johnson just got it done, man. I'll be honest. I bet against him. I didn't think Charles was actually going to get it done. I don't know why. A lapse in judgment. Apparently, I had a lot of those for this last fight card. We had 3 weeks off, though, so I was rusty. It's okay. I'll get better. I'll do better next time. That being said, Charles Johnson landed 44 strikes to 7, 34 significant strikes to 7. As soon as he landed that first hook, I believe, or maybe it was just like a quick straight, the second Charles Johnson landed that hit on Flick, he turned Jimmy the Brick Flick into a pebble instead of a brick. Like the guy was just, you could tell it had been 2 years since he had a fight. And I think that's something that a lot of people who, have never competed don't really realize, right? Like there's a vast difference in getting yourself into a professional fight versus sparring and training and things like that. Sparring, if I'm going against you, I want you to get better, right? I'm going 40, 50% max. If we're in a tournament setting or a professional setting, the difference in me throwing a leg kick, I'm not throwing a leg kick to see if it would have connected where it's supposed to connect. I'm throwing a leg kick as if my leg is an axe and your leg is a tree. I want to chop into it. And then after I chop into it, I know where I hit because now you've got a little slice point, right? I know where I hit. I'm going to keep hitting it over and over and over again. Same thing with my punches, right? If we're sparring, I'm just peppering you up. I want to know like 1, 2, 3. Oh, I would have connected 2 out of 3 of those, Emiliano. Did you catch that? Awesome. That way, next time I throw it, hopefully you block it. Whereas, again, even if you're my best friend, if we're in a tournament setting or an actual professional or a fight setting, God forbid, I'm trying to take your head off, right? I'm not trying to tap the tip of your chin. I'm trying to make sure that my fist goes through the back of your head if I connect to your chin, right? That's how you win fights. And that's exactly what happened in this fight with Charles Johnson. He was landing big shots. And the second he did start landing those big shots, he made them count. The only negative thing I will say about this, and it has nothing to do with Charles Johnson, the officiating seemed a bit whack. It was a very weird early stoppage. It actually looked like Jimmy Flick may have been throwing up and again, nothing was sunk in, right? But the ref did stop it before anything could get sunk in. But it did look like he was going to try and throw up a triangle from the bottom or an omoplata. And then the ref ran in and stopped it as he was transitioning. So kind of a weird stoppage for me. I don't know if you agree with that or not, Bill Hendricks. Please let me know in the chat below. But yeah, I did think it was a great fight, especially for Charles Johnson. I'd like to see Jimmy Flick back a little earlier, though, just to see if he still got something in him, you know? And I agree with you. I agree with you, Bill. It was an early stoppage, but it did save damage. He had gotten split open. And I do think it probably would have been more of the same. Either of you guys want to add something?
Yeah, I would say thanks for asking the question, Bill. Yeah, I think Charles Johnson was very impressive. I am learning more about him right now, watching some of these highlights. He seems to be having really good distance management. It looks really clean on his feet. Stuff the takedown, flipped over on top, and showed to be really dominant with the ground and pound. Love to see him take maybe another step up in competition. He's 32 years old, so if you're going to start making a run, might as well do it now. But yeah, let's see him take another step here and get another heavy hitter here in the division, in a stacked division, I should say.
Yeah, no, I kind of piggyback off that. I totally agree. I think he's doing really, really great. I mean, if you even look at his losses, like you were saying, MMA, I mean, Muhammad Mokaev is not a bad guy to lose to, The same thing with Brandon Royval. I mean, I like Brandon Royval. I mean, even before he fought Brandon Moreno, I think he was, at least one of those guys that I thought was going to be a contender. So I mean, I think he's fought really, really great competition, and the guys that he's lost to, it's not really that bad either. So, I mean, I would want to see if he can step up. Yeah, no, we agree. Definitely agree with you there, Bill. I think if he can get in and possibly fight a top 15 contender, that'd be great.
I don't mean to cut into the dance here, but I got 2 words for you. Tim Elliott.
Ooh.
I don't know why, but like that just makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up just a little bit. I feel like that would be a really good fight. And I don't know why. I feel like Charles Johnson's a very weird guy the way that he fights. And Tim Elliott's a very weird guy the way that he fights. I feel like that would be a really good test for him. We've got one guy that's, and I hate to say this about Tim Elliott because I'm a big fan. We got one guy that's kind of on the way down and one guy that's definitely on the way up. If you don't give him a Tim Elliott, I think the next best thing is probably a Sumu Darji. The guy that fought Matt Schnell and was beating him up until Matt Schnell got the biggest comeback of the year last year. I think that'd be a really good fight for him. Let's see what Bill weighs in with. Let's see. I'd like to see him fight another striker. He has fought 3 straight grapplers. Okay, all right, Bill. Let's see. I'm not gonna say Matt Schnell because that's my guy. I can't feed Matt Schnell to that guy. You know what? We'll give you a bone here, Bill. How about Jeffrey Molina, Mr. Jeff Molina himself? I think that's a fun fight. And if you want a striker versus Charles, let's see how he does against Jeffrey Molina. What do you think, Bill?
Hey,
personally, I think
I wouldn't be mad about that. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad about that.
Actually, you know, that's hard though. You said Jeffrey's on a 10-fight win streak?
He is.
Jesus. Okay, never mind. Jeff, you got to give Jeffrey somebody ranked above him. Sorry, I can't do that to Jeffrey. I revoked that. I revoked that as an option. Fuck. Manel Kopp, he's up and down, right? We can give him Manel Kopp, but that's way too far of a step up. Number 9?
Yeah.
Bill, we might be out of luck. He might have to fight another grappler, my guy. If you want a top 15.
To break in.
You think he dominates Molina? Oh, wow. All right, hot take.
Bill,
hot take Timmy here.
Bill, I like your biasness right now. I'm liking these opinions. They seem to come in sharp. I like it.
That wouldn't have been a fun fight for Flick. My God. Because I feel like Molina's got really heavy hands. And his leg kicks are disgusting. So, again, he would have chopped wood and just beat face. So, it wouldn't have been fun. It wouldn't have been a fun night for Flick. Then again, I mean, Saturday night didn't seem like it was a fun night for Flick either. So, yeah, I think we're safe to say we can move on from the Dan Ige versus Damon Jackson fight. And the next fight that we are going to talk about here, last but my goodness, certainly not least, we had Mr. Umair Nurmagomedov going in there against Raoni Barcelos. And I have to say something outright before we even jump into this, okay? Going into this fight, or actually not even going into this fight, after he got the knockout, people were saying online like, oh, wow, I mean, that was an easy knockout for him, blah, blah, blah. They gave him someone with a glass chin. I saw people saying that Raoni Barcelos had a glass chin. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please, somebody call me out on the stats if I'm wrong here. But has Raoni Barcelos ever been knocked out before that?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
How is that a comment? Like, I don't understand that argument at all. People just love to hate on anyone whose last name is Nurmagomedov, I think. So, I mean, that being said, T, I can tell you're itching to get in. I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. Let's hear it.
Oh, man, I love this guy. I love anyone last name Nurmagomedov at this point. I think these guys come in and they just know what they're doing, man. It's insane. You know, what's crazy is I really thought that he was actually going to be coming in and actually trying to do like a potential takedown. But for him to just stand on his feet and actually be looking sharp, you know, and you know, even with was it Raoni or Barcelos, I guess you could say. Man, I mean, he was doing pretty good too. I can't knock him out. I mean, he had a couple good kicks on him. I think there was a kick within the first minute or second minute that was like a pretty solid high kick, and it looked like he got him pretty good. But I mean, these guys, man, these Nurmagomedovs, they have insane chins, and that way that he set that up, bro, from a kick right into a, oh my goodness, right into a punch that knocked him clean, man. I mean, I think this guy's insane. I
think so too.
I think he's real deal. I mean, if he's not next up, I mean, he has to be at this point, right? He looks insanely sharp. In terms of, you know, being in a I would say, if not, and I think we kind of talked about this, MMA. Maybe you can kind of give us more info on this as well, Emiliano. Bantamweight's an insane weight class right now.
Yeah,
that's like the most fun weight class I feel like right now. These guys, I mean, these guys are running in there and just destroying. I mean, from the top 10 is really insane. In terms of fighters that I feel like
who's next
might be able to get next, man. I mean,
and just so you know, the pronunciation, I put it up on the screen for you. It's Hao Ni.
Thank you, brother.
I got you, brother.
Hao Ni
Barcelos.
Apologize. Howdy Barcelos, you did a great job. If you ever hear this, I mean, you know, that fight was great, man. That fight was great. It sucks. Hey, man, you gotta sweep your feet off and you gotta get back in there, you know.
Facts. So who's next? Who's next for Romero?
When it comes to fighters right now, man, it's hard. I feel like there's a lot of studs that are still out there right now.
There is.
I mean,
there is.
Top 15. Are you going to be going into the back counter of top 15? Is that what he deserves right now? So maybe a guy like Chris.
He's 11 right now.
He's already 11, bro.
Oh, he's 11, bro.
He's 11, and they haven't updated the rankings since Saturday, from what I've seen, really. So he could catch a jump.
Throw him the greatest guy I want him to fight right now, which is Mr. Song Yadong. I want him to go in there
exactly what I was looking at
and swing and bang with Swan. Dude, I feel like if he wants to go in there and do a good swing and bang type of fight, then I think that would be it. And if it comes into an opportunity of even potentially doing a grapple war, I mean, you know, Song's not that bad off his feet either, so
he's not.
That'd be an amazing fight. And even in that last fight, bro, I feel like Song, if they just would have gave him a little bit more time, he would have destroyed him. I'm trying to remember because I know
Sandhagen.
Thank you, bro.
Yep.
That's who it was. And Sandhagen's
a different level, dude. Like Sandhagen is one of those guys in the division that nobody outside of the top 3 or 4 are really going to be able to compete with him. I'll be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
His foot, he's like a hybrid.
Cruz, right?
He's literally like a hybrid of TJ Dillashaw's like power mixed with his footwork and Dominic Cruz's finesse mixed with his footwork. Mm-hmm. He's the best of both of those fighters, in my opinion. I thought he won the fight against TJ. Like Sandhagen's a different kind of animal, bro. Like that guy is a future champion, 100%. If you're asking me, like realistically, if you give him a striker, I think Umair's going to beat most strikers just because he does have the grappling in his back pocket. I think Song Yadong would be a fun matchup for as long as it lasted, but I don't think it'd go much. I don't think it'd go past like the Senate mark. I don't think there's a chance. Though as a fan would love to see that fight. I kind of want to see him get tested a little bit more. I want to see him go against Merab Dvalishvili.
Ooh,
that's huge. That's huge.
I think it'd be I mean, and here's the thing. Like, I'm not saying Song Yadong would say no to the fight against Umair, but who the fuck is gonna want to fight Umair on a month-and-a-half training camp? Because that's what he wants. He wants to fight again in March.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, yeah.
Nobody's signing up or chomping at the bit for that fight. But the guy that jumped headfirst into a frozen river in freaking New York and busted his head open, Merab Dvalishvili, I feel like that guy to be like, yeah, sign me up. I'll fight that guy.
Yeah, and I think... Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Emiliano.
No, go ahead, brother. I'll jump in.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I was just kind of add a comment. I mean, I think Merab's pretty damn good right now too. I mean,
he's very good right now.
I think based off of how he's doing. So I mean, the last couple fights, I didn't know that he was going to be so good as a takedown artist, but he's been a fantastic wrestler.
Dude, he's an incredible wrestler.
But I mean, if he ends up going and fighting a guy like Umar, I mean, I could see it. I could definitely see it being a really great fight. No, I agree with you.
I have to ask a question before Emiliano jumps in on this. And Emiliano, I want you to be the first one to answer this too. Would that have to be a 25-minute fight, or would it be okay if it was a 3-round fight?
I think I'd want 25 minutes, but realistically, it's probably a 15-minute fight. if I'm Merab, there's not a lot of benefit. You don't win a lot jumping down to 11, and it's a scary number 11 who has a skill set very similar to you. I'd pay to see it, but not as I'm looking at the top 10. Though I don't know who else. I mean, I think Merab just walks through anyone else here in the top 10. So Umar might be the best challenge, the best two skill sets that you can make in that division right now. I'd want to see it 25, but I don't know if that's a main card fight. What do you boys think?
I 100% agree. I would have to see it at 25 minutes, but the thing is, he wants to get on that March card. They're not going to make him a main event, and I mean, we've seen it in the past for like I think who negotiated that they get a 25-minute fight as a co-main event. It was like one of the Diaz brothers. I don't know why, I can't remember, but I remember that happening like recently in recent years. So I mean,
well, yeah, Nate versus Leon, or was it that?
Yeah.
One?
Yeah. He negotiated for it to be a 25-minute fight, and then he fucking caught him with a slap in the last round. Could you imagine if he didn't stare at him and would have actually followed up? My God, man. We could have had a 209 champ. Wild. The scenes. He would have been like, "Hey, motherfucker, pound for pound, headshot, dead. Look at me now. Look at me now, 209. I'm not surprised, motherfucker."
Y'all see me slap him just now? That was pretty sick.
Joe Rogan goes to take the mic away and he's like, "Don't make me slap you, man." So yeah, I mean, I agree. Every fight should be 5-rounders, but only because we want to watch more as fans.
yeah, exactly.
More long fights.
The greediness wants the content, but I agree with you, man. I think it's kind of hard. I mean, a guy like Umar. The reason why I like him so much is that I like fighters that want to get right back in it.
100%.
A guy like Strickland, bro. If we were to, just to kind of bounce back off on that fight, it's nuts that he literally just had a 5-round fight and he wanted to get right back in there.
Yeah.
But it comes to show you again. I mean, and I'm sure you guys both can kind of fall suit on this. I mean, kind of from the times of a fighter. I mean, I feel like it's hard for you to almost fall out of it. Like, if you're really, like, say you're training throughout that whole experience and then you fight, I feel like even after that, you're not, as a fighter, I feel like you're not stopping. Like, you might, take a day.
I mean, it really depends, right? Like,
you think, are you just getting, like a guy like Nurmagomedov, do you think he's getting right back into the
camp? He's right back into camp. Yeah. But that's different. That's different, T. So, like, if we're talking about a guy like Nurmagomedov, like, those guys are from Dagestan, A. The only fun thing to do in Dagestan is, like, there's that one river and they go and swim against the stream and see who lasts the longest. So, when the river calms down, they wrestle bears. So, like, for those guys, like, you can't really put them in the same class as everyone else. Everybody else just celebrated Christmas and New Year's or Kwanzaa or Hanukkah or whatever they celebrate, but a lot of people just celebrated holidays. I mean, again, like, when these guys celebrate a holiday, they're fasting. Like, the holiday requires, like, discipline for these guys. So, like, for us, a holiday requires eating more food than we should on any other day, and then sleeping more than we should on any other day or week. So, I mean, most people, no, not really. But to your point, I said Merab. I think Merab probably is that type of guy that doesn't take any time off. And also, I just want to see that fight because I want to see someone that's going to push Merab, and we haven't really seen that recently. Like, even with Jose Aldo, I thought Jose Aldo was going to do a much better job against him, but he just didn't. And, Eric weighing in with the real topics here. Those Dagestanis, their basket game is pretty legit, too. I don't know if you saw Khabib with the 3-pointers. Khalabib.
Man, those
fucking Joey Diaz. That Khalabib guy. Khalabib.
There was this point where Khabib traveled, and it was like, who's gonna?
Well, no, they do that.
Who's gonna tell him, bro?
They don't dribble.
No, it's wrestle ball, dude.
Dude, that's so awesome. Bro.
So they play with wrestling shoes on, and they literally, like, you can take them down, like, you can wrestle them, and there's no dribbling.
I love that, man.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, it's Dagestani basketball.
put up 2 shots, and it's 4 dudes wrestling 4 other dudes. And
Yeah.
then one guy
The end score is 4-0, 4-2, bro.
Calabi for the 3.
Wrestling.
Buckets. Dude, honestly,
Oh man.
I think we should find like an indoor basketball setup, and we should play some Dagestani basketball, dog.
Set it up.
I just don't want to do it on the pavement.
Yeah, my joints can't take it.
Yeah.
I'm too old for that, bro. The doctor said no more. The knees can't take it.
The knees. Yeah, there you go.
All right,
Eric.
we're going to
There
LA
you go.
Fitness.
There
We'll see you there, Eric. So honestly, I think Merab versus the little Nurmagomedov kid, and obviously I agree with what you guys said. I think Song Yadong would be a really great, much closer matchup for him. But I also think across the next days we'll see some rankings updates, and we'll probably see Umair sitting at like number 9, maybe even number 8. We might see Song drop down 1 or 2 slots, and then Umair jump up like 2 or 3 slots. If that's the case, I mean, realistically, number 3 versus number 7 or number 8, that's not really a crazy matchup for Merab.
True.
And then also, like, you got to think, I know. Sorry, go ahead, Emiliano. I was just saying, like, I know you said that when it comes to Merab, there's not a ton of like things to gain from taking that fight. But if you're Merab and everybody else says no to this kid because he's scary, and he's went from not being ranked to within a 12 months time span being ranked number 7, top 10, and then you derail him and you make it look easy, it's pretty fucking hard to say, oh no, you don't deserve a title shot. You've beaten everybody in the top 5, including the only guy that we thought could beat everybody else in the top 5. No, you're going to give that guy a freaking title shot. And also, if he thinks he can win, he thinks he has a solid path to victory, I mean, it's a no-brainer for him, right? Because for him, he's like, okay, cool, I can out-wrestle this guy. I can chain wrestle him. And then if I'm able to do that, not take a ton of damage, then I can get the winner of Aljamain versus whoever the hell he's going to fight. Because Aljamain's still acting like he's going to fight this year. He's acting like he's going to fight this year.
So he's not. You guys don't think
surgery.
he is?
Well,
he has a blown bicep or something, right?
Yeah, he blew his bicep.
The fuck? Like, you're not going to fight with that, dude. And if you are, like, you're going to look like TJ Dillashaw. Sorry, Ian, if you're watching.
Well, let's be honest, they're not going to wait around for Aljo. They're not going to wait all year for him.
No, I actually liked Aljo before the whole like Twitter king of cringe bullshit shtick. But I mean, they shouldn't wait on him. It's the UFC. They don't wait for anybody. They're the best in the world outside of the heavyweight division, and possibly the light heavyweight division right now.
Yeah. So is it going to be Sugar versus Mr. Cringe or what for the title vacant?
That's what I think. I don't know if you watched last week's episode, but that was my prediction. I think Sugar Sean O'Malley ends up fighting the King of Cringe. And honestly, like, I think he's a bad matchup for him. I don't know if you remember the way the first fight against Demetrius Johnson went for the King of Cringe, but he got dropped by a knee to the body. And it was, I think, in the first round. It was very quick in the fight. So, granted, I know Henry Cejudo is a much better fighter than he was back then. This is like a lifetime ago in fight years. But we're also talking about a guy that wasn't supposed to stand a shot in hell against Peter Yan, and he won a split decision. And I'll take it to the grave. I actually agreed with that decision.
I agree. Yeah. I don't know if I'm biased because I'm a local Arizonian now, but...
I don't even I'm not biased. I'm blocked by that guy's coach.
I know.
I don't like Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Tim Wells? Oh, my God.
His coach blocked me literally the day after the Cheeto Vera fight. Because I tweeted his coach with a video clip of his coach saying, yeah, I mean, this is an easy fight. Cheeto's easy money, dude. Cheeto's money in the bank.
Yeah, Tim.
So I tagged him in that video, and I was like, dude, this aged like milk, huh?
Like milk. Don't get at it.
I also found out I'm blocked by Gina Carano, which I don't know what I said to get blocked by Gina Carano, but the fact that Gina Carano knows who I am and went to my page to block me, I mean, that makes me a legend, I think. I don't know.
You're a legend, John Stark.
I'll take it.
You're a legend after that.
Let's go. All right, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We won't take up all day for you. I know some people have some work to do. Ian, looking at you. And we would appreciate it if you guys liked, comment, subscribe, and smash that bell for notifications as always. And we will see you same time, same place next week. Might try and get in another episode later on this week or in the middle of the week to go over the upcoming pay-per-view. If you want to jump in on the festivities and join in on this, please let me know. Oh, real quick. We can't end right now. We're going to take it to the next 3 minutes. That Mikey Musumeci match on One. I don't know if you guys watched it, but I know you guys got Amazon Prime. So download Prime Video. Okay, everybody
Mikey
watching probably
again?
has Amazon Prime.
Pizza legend Mikey fought.
Bro, did you see that? That guy's knee. Oh, dude. His knee looked like it was literally rotating out. I've never heard Mary freak out so much during a fight. It was wild.
Gosh.
It was wild. They had him fight like Khabib with training wheels. It was a Dagestani guy. Or no, he trains in Dagestan or something like that. Or no, he's not Dagestani. He's freaking Sambo. He's a Sambo guy. But dude, yeah, I agree, Eric. His opponent was Wolverine. Like healing factor engage. It was wild. It's like, oh, you broke my knee? I'll just let it heal itself over the next 30 seconds while I wrestle with you. Like it was wild.
Now.
I just literally like cringed just thinking about it. It's honestly, that kid's insane. He's insanely good. And shout out Ki, one of the homies. He actually works over at One, and he's been putting us on some of these fighters for a while now. And I gotta say, that last event was a banger of an event. I watched over half of it. I did have to go to dinner, but geez, dude, it was a really great event. Really, really solid fights. If you want to see some really, really solid Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, just like combat grappling and Muay Thai, geez, really good. Mikey Musumeci is literally the future. I want, this is just the glutton in me, I can't just have a good thing and let it be good enough. I want to see this guy break into mixed martial arts. Ki, if you're listening, can you plant the seed? Can you send me a video of him in sparring? Can he just like not take punches? What's happening? I want to see this guy fight. I think he's a world breaker in grappling, and he could be our day and age's like literal Hoist Gracie. Wow. I really do. Wow. And I mean, unless he just has a glass chin, which if that's the case, that's fine. Like keep doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'll still watch your matches and watch you just reap people's legs to hell. But God, dude, you guys watch that fight. We're gonna weigh in a little bit more on that one in the next episode, Eric, for sure. So thanks for that call out. I'm gonna get the word Mongolian off the screen. I don't want people to think that we're being, weird. Just like Mongolian. That's what's for lunch. So yeah, we will barbecue. We'll go over that in the next one, and definitely we will talk about this. We will talk about this as a hypothetical matchup. I'm gonna have dreams about this tonight, Eric. Thanks. So again, thanks again, everybody that tuned in. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Shan, Super Silly Shy Guy. Thank you, Bill Henricks. Honest, everybody that dropped in. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for being a part of the show. Tien, Emiliano. One of these days, we're going to have to get the other half of Crude Analysis on here. That guy's MIA, but I get it. I get it.
We will. He has to. We're gonna throw some bricks on his hand. I know he has bricks for hands, so we're gonna have to bring him into play soon. But
brother's got a mean left hook.
Yes, sir. Hey, it's an honor to see Emiliano in here, though. Seriously, man. Appreciate you jumping in.
Great to see you, bro. Until next time, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely, you guys. Again, thanks everybody for joining, and we will see you next time.